I'm going to slice them half wide. Half wide, half wide. I'm gonna slice them down the middle.
What we do here is go back.
Welcome to Laying Down Lambert's Icebox Throws. Okay, so what's an icebox throw? Well, it actually refers to the refrigerator. I call it an icebox, and that's what I'm sticking with. An icebox throw is anything that you can pull out of your refrigerator, put together to make a delicious meal for your family with little effort and little having to go to the store to buy ingredients. Tonight's icebox throw is going to be using this star ingredient. Now I'm using the tong and you can see the steam coming off because I just pulled them out of the pot, so they're steaming hot. These are called chayotes, or I've also heard them called chayotes. It's a squash, so it's technically a fruit with a seed. Here in the South, we call these beauties militons. Some people say militon. We typically like to use these stuffed, and that's what I'm working on today, a stuffed mirliton. So I picked these up just about an hour or two ago at the grocery store, and I've already completed the first step, which is boiling them in water for about an hour until they're fork tender. It's an icebox throw. So some of my ingredients have seen better days, like my green onions. They are not doing so good, but once I saute them in, they'll be just fine. I'm also going to add some celery. My celery is also on the sad side. It's not bright green anymore, so I'm going to use the pieces that I can salvage in my icebox throw. I'm going to add garlic, French fry seasoning, parsley. It calls for some type of breadcrumb, so I might add a little bit of just a regular Progresso breadcrumb, but I do have some stale bread soaking in milk right now, and I may end up adding that instead, or I might add both. I haven't decided yet. Now, the best thing to stuff your mirliton with is shrimp. However, I didn't have fresh shrimp, and if I did try to defrost some, it would take a little bit too long, and I need to get this rolling. It's 5:45 and we're starting to get hungry. So instead, I have some ground meat. So we're gonna stuff ours with ground meat today. So I'll come back in about an hour when the mirlitons are done. Ideas of the icebox throw is to kind of start cleaning out your refrigerator and getting rid of some of the ingredients you haven't used in a while. And as you saw, my green onions are all gone, used in here. My celery is done. There is nothing left to it. I used the end of the garlic, so I am done with a lot of these ingredients. I like to just kind of have everything prepped and ready to go when it's time. So I'll put everything in the nice little bowls. I have a tablespoon of French fry seasoning, 2 teaspoons of parsley. I'm probably gonna add more as I cook and taste, but this is just a start. I have the celery, the green onions, and regular onions ready to go. So I added some butter and oil into my very well seasoned pan, and I'm gonna saute those onions up. I'm going to add the celery. I'm going to add the green onions. Oops, got a piece of green onion. I'm going to wait for the garlic for just a second, and I'm going to wait for the seasoning for just a second. I'm going to let that cook down for a little bit. I added the ground meat, and I'm just going to chop it up and let it brown. And then I will get ready to continue the stuffing for the mirliton. And now I'm going to add garlic and seasoning, a little parsley, a little French fry seasoning. I'm going to season it again once I add the Merliton into this mixture, I'll season it again to make sure it's nice and well seasoned. Might add a little bit of cayenne pepper if I want a big kick. I might actually do that right now. It's always good to try cayenne pepper. That's delicious like it is. I am going to add a touch of cayenne pepper, a little bit. You cannot add a lot. It is very spicy. So I'm not sure if my head was in the shot at all this entire time, but here I am. So the meat mixture is ready to go, but it needs a few more ingredients to complete it. So I'm going to take the meat mixture and just put it in this big bowl. And to this, I am going to add the breadcrumbs. Now what I did was I took the bread that I had soaked in milk and I added breadcrumbs to it. So now it's kind of like a paste in which I'll mix all together. So it's like a wet breadcrumb and a dry breadcrumb kind of mixed. I like it a little bit bready. Now I'm ready to put it all together. The first thing I need to do is slice these militons lengthwise, like so. They should be nice and tender. If they're not tender, if you can't stick the fork in them, then they're not ready. And I'm just going to let these cool as I am cutting them open. I preheated my oven to 350 degrees because this is a multi-step recipe. It is well worth the effort, however. But you do have to cook the merlitons first, you have to make the stuffing, and then you have to stuff these and bake them till they're crispy on the top. So it is a few different steps you have to do. These are ready now to be scooped out, and I'm going to add the majority of the fruit is going to go inside. I keep calling it fruit because it is a fruit. The majority of it is going to go inside of my stuffing mix that I have prepared earlier. I've seasoned it, I've tasted it, husband approved it, and so this was ready to go. I'm going to scoop out. I personally am going to take out the little seed of the fruit. I don't know if you can leave it in there. I'm not leaving it in there. I think it looks kind of weird. So I'm just going to scoop out some of the seeds and put them in here. I just don't like the idea of eating the seed. You have to be pretty gentle. The flesh, the skin of the merliton is pretty tender, a little flaky almost, and it will rip, it will break, it will fall apart if you scoop too hard or too close to the ends. Similar to how you would stuff a bell pepper. If you've ever done stuffed bell peppers before, it's very similar to that, except for a bell pepper, like see, I broke this one already. It's still going to taste good, but I broke it. I went too hard, it was too tender, and it split in half. It's not going to work because the whole idea is that you're stuffing this as a shell. So I'll just use this one to get more of the flesh, the meat, the fruit into my pan. So basically you just kind of scoop it all out. Maybe you can put it to the side. You're going to add it to the actual bowl. It all depends on how thick you want it. You can chop it up a little bit. You can leave it coarse. You can eat the entire merliton, skin and all. So if you get a little bit of skin in there, it's okay. I usually like to chop it a little bit, cube it a little bit before I put it in. It's still a little warm. And again, you should probably let this cool at least 10 minutes open like this. But I'm against the clock trying to feed my family tonight, so I'm just going to go ahead and chop it while it is still warm. I mean, I really feel like I could probably put the skin on. Oh my goodness, the skin is amazing. I'm not wasting that. I'm putting it all in there. It's nice and tender. I'm just kind of putting a knife through it, not even a good knife, just putting a knife through it, and then I'm going to add this in there. This is going to double almost your stuffing mixture when you're done. So I'm just going to make a little pile of it and scoop it in after. You have to be careful. I can't stress that enough. I've already messed one up. I'm actually going to grab a smaller little spoon so that way I can dig a little bit better, because you want to leave a nice cavity in the bottom in order to put your stuffing, because half of this is the fact that it's going to be inside the militon. So I'm trying to be really careful. There might be a better technique for this. I haven't discovered it yet. Like I said, it's a little bit warm and I probably should have waited. But that is, again, I think I might have gone to the bottom of that one too. So I'm just going to scoop all the rest of these out and I'll meet you in a second. Militon has been chopped coarsely. It is still a little warm, but not too bad. I did sprinkle a little French fry seasoning on top because I'm going to probably have to add a little more seasoning now that I've added a bunch of more ingredients. So we're going to, ooh, juicy. We're going to dump the militon into the bowl with the meat. Get it all in there. You don't want to lose any of that deliciousness. And then I'm going to give it a really good mix. Over here I have the shells. Just put them in a lined pan with aluminum foil. And I'm going to give it a nice stir, get it all mixed up. Get the meat mixed with the militon, mixed with the breadcrumbs, mixed with the onions. Just get it all mixed in there. It's going to bake again. So it's going to reheat, it's going to get brown, and now I'm going to stuff the shells. Let me take a taste. Yes, this is my family. I can take a taste and put my fork back in. So good. I feel like I want a little more spice, not necessarily salt, but a little more spice. So I think I might add a touch more of that cayenne pepper. Just a touch. Just a little there. I'm going to add another tiny bit salt and a little more, well, a lot more pepper. Okay. Give that a stir, and now I'm going to scoop it into my, it is nice and it's wet. It's nice and ready to go in. I'm going to just scoop. I'm probably going to have tons left over, so I'm going to overstuff these. I'm going to make these nice and stuffed. We all want them nice and stuffed. I still have quite a good bit of the stuffing left, so it is all cooked. My daughter will probably actually rather eat it this way, maybe even over a little bit of rice, as looking at it and eating it inside of the actual militon. So I'm gonna just save this for her or anybody else who wants to add. I mean, that would even be good on like toast. It's really that good. But I'm gonna finish these off. And the last thing that I wanna do to finish these off is I wanna put a little pat of butter on top of each one, because in the South we like to add butter on everything. And on top of the butter, I'm going back and forth between adding this Parmesan cheese or not, so I might add the cheese on a few of them. It's not what I think I would normally do, but I feel like you could do that, so I think I'm going to add the Parmesan to like 3 of them, just in case it's not good, and if it is good, then I'll know next time to add it to all of them. But I'm also going to add a little bit of breadcrumb on top. That will hopefully melt with the butter, brown with the butter. And then I'm just going to put it on these 3. Again, it may be delicious. I'll let you know if it is or not. These are ready to go into the oven. I'm going to keep an eye on them. For sure, I'm definitely thinking 20 minutes, but I'm going to keep an eye on them, and if it looks like I need to go a little bit longer, I will. I just want to see the tops of them turn brown, maybe a little crispy because of the Parmesan cheese or the breadcrumbs, but I'm just waiting to see them turn brown. That's it. So you have to use your own judgment. I'm saying 20 minutes. I'll see you back in 2 seconds. All right, it's been about 30 minutes actually, because I feel like they were not browning enough, so I Actually, I put the broiler on for a little bit so that we can get a nice crisp topping. So 30 minutes later, and we are done. Plated and ready to devour. Well, it is bon appetit time. Time to enjoy the labor of love that I put into my stuffed militon, stuffed with ground meat and lots of seasonings and flavors. And I'm going to wash it down with a cup of sweet, 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 sweet iced tea. Let's try this out. Ooh, steamy. I chose the one with the Parmesan since I've never really had that one before, just to give that one a fair shot. The flesh is nice and tender. That is amazing. I want to toot my own horn. Toot toot. That's amazing. You've got to try this recipe. Again, you don't have to use militon squash if you don't have any in your area. Try it with a different squash and see what happens. It's so delicious.
What we do here is go back.
Oh,